What's up everyone, it is Natalie here, and today I am back in my car. I am so sorry for filming so many videos in this car. It's just that I have not been home to film a video in like over a month. So I've just kind of been filming on the go, and most of my videos are vlogs, so it's totally fine. But when I want to do a sit down video like this, I have to film it somewhere, and we're in a hotel and I have my whole family, and I'm not going to kick my family out to film a video, so I go to the car. I am filming how to get a job, advice on how to get a job, and yeah, you guys asked me a lot of questions. If you guys are new here, hey, I'm Natalie. I film a lot of vlogs, lifestyle vlogs, productivity vlogs, but today I am filming how to get a job. This is more specifically geared towards after college or after grad school because I'm only 23 years old, so I can't really tell you how to get a job after like 20 years of experience, but I can give you my own tips, and hopefully they can help you out no matter what stage of life you're in. But I will preface this by saying this is mainly for people who have just graduated college. So if you guys have just graduated college or are graduating soon, comment down below, comment down the school that you guys went to. I'd love to know. I also wanted to say thank you so much to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. I love Squarespace. I've partnered with them on so many videos before, and they're just an awesome company that I use personally every single day. So I love partnering with them. If you guys don't know what Squarespace is, it is an online website builder. If you guys need a website for literally anything, an online store, a blog, an online resume, anything like that, build it on Squarespace. It is by far the easiest and most customizable website builder. I have used multiple website builders because I have had like a million little business ventures that I have come up with, and I haven't needed a website for them. So I've actually used like 3 or 4 different ones, and Squarespace is the easiest. I'm building my website, nataliebarbu.com, on there. So if you guys want to use Squarespace and want to get 10% off, use my code NatalieBarbu or click on the link down below. It is so customizable, and every single theme is so beautiful, and you can customize it no matter how you want to make it. So if I have the same theme as you, trust me, they're going to look so different. So I highly recommend it. If you guys want to check them out, click the link down below. But yeah, thank you for Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. So some of you guys were asking me for my personal work experience, like going all the way back to my first job. So I'm gonna quickly run through that, and then I'm gonna get into all of my tips and answer all your questions. So I got my first job the second I turned 16 in North Carolina. I'm pretty sure you can't work until you're 16, but I wasn't able to work until I had my driver's license. So I worked the second I could. My first job was at Chick-fil-A. I hated working in the food industry. So that did not last very long. And then I worked at American Eagle, and I really loved that job. I really liked retail. A lot of people hate retail, but I personally really loved it. The discounts were awesome, and I loved American Eagle. And then I worked at Autobell, which I'm pretty sure is only in the South, but it's a car washing place, and I was like the register girl, and that was probably my favorite job in high school because I got commission. So I honestly got paid so much. There was one paycheck, I remember I got $500, and that was for 1 week of work, not even for 2 weeks. That was just 1 week, and that was part-time. So if any of you guys want to work at Autobell, I highly recommend it. It's a great job. And then when I came back to Charlotte for the summers, I would work at a boutique called the Cheeky Bean, and that was just a local boutique in Charlotte that I worked at. And then I got an internship, and I worked at Ralph Lauren, and my internship was in the operations development side, so it was the engineering side. My bosses were both industrial engineers, and then the girl I was working with, like the other intern, was also an industrial engineer. So yeah, it was the operations development team, and that was in High Point, North Carolina. I got a job in consulting, and I worked for Accenture, which is a very large consulting company, and I got that job immediately after college. I actually got it while I was in college. I got that job in September of my senior year, and I didn't start until September of the following year. So I got that job a whole year before. So anyways, that's my backstory. I didn't want to take up too much time in the video to explain that. Now we are going to get into the tips that I have for how to get a job, especially after college. The big question that a lot of you guys ask is how to create a good resume. I have a few tips for this. If you guys are applying to a more technical job, so a more business related job, finance, accounting, engineering, anything like that that's not a creative job, I recommend having a very plain resume. And what I mean by plain is white paper, black font, normal font, not like Comic Sans or anything like that. Having it be very, very just like professional. Don't include graphics on there. Whenever I would ask my professors or my advisors what I should make my resume, they always told me that for my specific engineering related jobs. So that is why I recommend that. But if you guys are in a graphic design position or something way more creative, then I recommend using your resume kind of as a portfolio and using it to show your skills. So make it creative, make it fun, make it represent you a little bit more, so you can add more color and you can make it less boring, you know? So I recommend that for those jobs because that's specifically what they're looking for. They're looking for someone who can do something like that. But for someone in a more business related job or engineering or just more technical, then I recommend definitely a plain like black-white plain resume in terms of the aesthetic of it. I'm gonna insert a picture of my resume and you guys can see that, and I'm also going to upload a resume template to nataliebarbu.com if you guys want to check that out, and you guys can download it. So for what I included in my resume, I just had my name at the top in the center. I had the address that I lived in at the time on that resume, and then I also had my education. I then went into relevant coursework. So because I was still in college, I wanted to include relevant coursework because a lot of people that are interviewing you or looking at your resume are not necessarily in your major or don't even know that much about your major. So I wanted to make sure that the people that were looking at my resume knew the type of courses I was taking. So I did relevant coursework. I included my GPA on there as well, and I did not include like high school or anything like that. I would definitely stick to higher education if you guys are in college or attended college. And then I went into my work experience, and I did that from most recent to furthest away, and I just did a few little bullet points on what exactly each of those I guess jobs entailed. And as you can see, I did not put my high school Chick-fil-A job because that's not relevant anymore. No one cares that I worked at Chick-fil-A in high school. So I only included relevant things. And then I also included my projects. So in my major, we did have certain projects, so I just included those there. And then I also included my skills. And a big thing that's missing on my resume is like clubs and extracurriculars, and that's because I didn't really have any. So that, if you guys watched my mistakes I made in college video, that was a huge regret of mine, that I did not get involved in school. So if you guys are involved, I would include that kind of like where the skills are, or above, somewhere around there at the bottom. But I didn't have any, so I just like conveniently left those out. Another question a lot of people ask was, what websites should I use for applying for jobs? So I'm going to tell you guys the #1 thing that you guys should be using if you guys are trying to find a job and you guys are still in college. I would use your career center 100%. If you guys go to a university, I think all universities have career centers, I'm pretty sure, or a career portal. My career portal was online, and basically all I did was I just went there, and they have a million jobs that are hiring, and they're specifically hiring NC State, which was the school I graduated from, NC State graduates. But that's why they were on the career portal. So if you guys go on your career portal, I don't know why that's such a hard word for me to say. Those jobs are specifically for your school. So you have such a high chance of getting an interview because they know that they want to hire people from that school. And that's why when I would go on there, and you could look on location, you could work on keywords, it would tell you how well suited you are for it. So the company would put what majors they're looking for, if they require a minimum GPA, things like that. So if you fit the major and you fit the GPA, it would show those at the top and say that those are recommended jobs for you. So I would look on there first thing because that they are like specifically looking for your school, and then after that I would look at LinkedIn and I would search it by keywords, I would search it by your field, and I would definitely look in your qualifications. If you're just graduating college, look for entry level. I would not look for something that requires 5 to 7 years of experience because you don't have that, chances are. I mean, if you don't have that, don't apply for that because they're probably not going to hire you. I think if there's a dream company that you would absolutely be dying to work for, you can shoot your shot and you can apply. I'm not saying to just completely reject it, but then make sure that in your cover letter or in your resume, you really highlight those experiences, that even if you don't have 5 years of it, why you're super why you are well suited for the job, if that makes sense. So that's what I would do personally, but I only really applied to like my entry-level positions because I knew that I had a higher chance of that. Also, don't be afraid to reach out to someone in the company that you want and ask them if they have a position open, especially if this is a smaller company. But even if not, reach out to people on LinkedIn that have your dream job, work at your dream company. Tell them your qualifications, tell them what you can bring to the company, and then ask them if they have a position that they have available for you. So don't be afraid to not just stick to the classic like Indeed, LinkedIn, career portal bubble, and actually go out of your way and email real people. Even if you don't know them, just email them and see. I have a podcast episode, I'm gonna have it linked down below, with one of my friends who moved to New York City with no job, and within 3 days she got 3 different job offers or 2 different job offers by DMing people on Instagram. So if your company is small enough that you want to work for, like a PR agency, which was in her case, she DM'd a bunch of them on Instagram and she got a job that way. So I'm gonna have that podcast episode linked down below so you guys can, if that's something that you think you're interested in and you want more of a smaller company, you guys can look into that. If a company is coming to your school, go to the networking events, talk to them on campus, go to your career fair. I did all of that, and I did all of that my senior year, my first semester. So make sure you do all of that if a company you're interested is coming. And a lot of times, I mean, my school personally, NC State, it is a big school, but we had huge companies come in. We had Google, we had Facebook, we had, I mean, Accenture, we had Deloitte, we had so many consulting companies. So it's not just local like North Carolina companies, it's pretty much companies from all over. So be sure that you are definitely doing that because you just have a higher chance. And then after that, I would use LinkedIn and Indeed and search for keywords and definitely apply in your qualifications. Someone else asked how to make your cover stand out and be personal without being too personal. I wanted to insert my cover letter as well. This is the one that I use for Accenture. If you guys don't know what a cover letter is, it's basically just 1 page, or it could be a paragraph depending on what you want, an extra supplement to your resume that says this is why you should hire me. Like, this is what my resume didn't cover, this is why you should hire me. What I did was I made it very, very professional. I feel like in these instances, do not make it like you're just texting a friend like, hey, I really want to work for you guys, please hire me. This should be extremely professional. So my first paragraph, I think I just talked about what position I was applying for so that they knew, and why I was a good fit in like 1 sentence. And then from there on, I went on with, I highlighted experiences that I thought were very, very relevant or made me stand out to the job and to the company. And then I talked about what skills I gained in those work experiences. So they knew my work experience, but I really wanted to make sure that they knew what I gained from it. This is where I used my cover letter to my advantage, because for me personally, YouTube was a huge thing on my resume. And when you're thinking of engineering jobs, you're not thinking of, oh, I want a YouTuber who does vlogs and lifestyle videos and makeup videos and fashion videos. You don't think those relate at all, but I made mine relate to it. I wanted to make my cover letter to show like, hey, I know I do very girly fashion videos and whatever, but I think it can still benefit your company. So that's what I use my cover letter for. So if you have a work experience that doesn't necessarily scream like this is relevant, like my Ralph Lauren operations development internship is a little bit more relevant, it's a little bit more related to engineering, but YouTube, when you look at that, you're like, okay, this girl does YouTube, what? So in my cover letter, I made sure to like very in detail say how YouTube will benefit me in this position. I thought I had a pretty good cover letter, and I did get hired at Accenture, so that's why I'm using Accenture's, but also you can tailor it to each specific company. So I don't recommend just copying and pasting your cover letter and sending it out to a million companies. I always altered the skills that I had. I differentiated the skills with different companies. So if I was applying to a more creative job, I would highlight the more creative aspects of each of my work experiences. If I was applying for a more creative fashion company, instead of my Ralph Lauren job, I might do like my Cheeky Bean job, because I also worked on social media with them. So I would talk about that more and highlight those skills, because my operations development internship doesn't really have to do with fashion. Even though it was at Ralph Lauren, it doesn't have to do like this. I didn't do anything related to fashion there. So that's kind of like what I would say. The next question is, what type of research should you make when applying to jobs/companies? I recommend Glassdoor. I really like Glassdoor. It has employee reviews, and then it also says salary, so you can look at different people's salaries and wherever they're located. And even though it's not 100% accurate because it's not verified, like I guess people could say whatever they want, it's typically accurate from what I have seen. So I liked using Glassdoor because if a company had horrible reviews and their employers didn't like them and they had really bad salaries, I wasn't even gonna bother to apply. And then after that, I researched the company. I would just go on their website. Like for me, for Accenture, I went on the website, I looked at what awards they've had, what type of work are they doing. So Accenture had a really great website where it explained exactly the type of cases that they've worked on and what companies they've worked with. So I looked at that a lot, and a lot of times I really made sure to research like what they were known for, what they were kind of breaking into, what industries, and I used that to my advantage in the interview. So one of my interviews, I had a woman asking me why I liked Accenture, like why I chose Accenture versus other consulting companies. One, they have a lot of awards, and I would highlight the specific awards I was talking about, but another one that I think I personally loved was not only all of the industries that they were in. Accenture has their hands in everything. I just really liked that they were very, very involved in so many different industries, so I knew the company was going to be successful. But I also love that I think by year 2020, I forget like the exact numbers because I interviewed for them so long ago, Accenture had an initiative to have 50% women leaders by a certain year and have a more diverse leadership board. And I thought that was really, really important. And I was like, as a woman, I like that a company is doing that because I want to have the opportunity to work up the corporate ladder if I wanted to and become a leader. And I like that they were recognizing the importance of that. So I highlighted that in my interview. If I never would have researched the company, I would have never known what to say. I would have been like, because you guys came to my school and I want to work for a consulting company. No, I wanted to highlight what I really specifically loved about Accenture that stands out from other consulting companies. So doing your research on the company is actually really beneficial, especially in the interview process as well. Another thing that I looked up, which is kind of weird, I looked up vlogs for consultants because I was applying for basically only consulting companies. So I looked up jobs that were consultants. Like I would be like, consulting vlog, like life as a consultant, day in my life as a consultant. And I watched this one girl who I totally forgot her name, but she had like a day in the life as a consultant, and I was just like, her life seems really cool. So I kind of wanted to get an insight on how people were, like what day to day was like. Even though she couldn't take us along in the actual work part, I just wanted to know, like, does she have work-life balance? Like, is she happy? You know, so I know that might not be the more traditional way of looking up jobs and to figuring out what you want to do, but I think it really, really does help because it's real people in the industry you want to go into. And then another question is, how do I sell myself to an employer? I hate bragging about myself. In a job interview, this is your time to brag. You need to brag on yourself. And there's a difference between being cocky and bragging and being humble, because you need to go into it with humility. I mean, you just want to show what you've learned from your work experiences and why that's a good fit. And it's okay to make mistakes. This is what I'm saying when you need to come into it with humility. I think it's important to recognize the mistakes that you've made and then say like, but this is what I've learned from it and this is why I'm a beneficial employee to your company. Always go into it with what you can do for them, which in a way is bragging. Like, hey, here are all of my great qualities. This is why you need me. Hire me. Because if you go into it and a company's like, so why should we hire you? And you're like, listen, I just really need the money and I'm graduating and I want to work in New York City and your benefits are great. The company is going to be like, all right, get out. These are my skills that I have to offer and you need these skills because my analytical skills will help you with this and this skill will help you with this. So really just brag on yourself in the interview, but always with humility and say what you've learned in your past experiences. If you don't like bragging on yourself, it takes practice. So start practicing with people in fake interviews. Ask your friends if they can ask you questions that an interviewer would ask and then speak it out with them. I practiced so much before my interviews. I would talk it out with my friends. I talk it out to myself. I talk it out on the phone with my mom. I recorded myself once. Like, it's really, really crucial to practice what you're gonna say because then it's gonna be a lot more easy and you're gonna sound a lot more confident once you're in the interview room. Anyways, that is it for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. I wanted to be as useful as possible with my personal tips. If you guys want my website, I am going to be helping you guys out with career questions, getting job questions, just post-grad life adjusting to it. Thank you again for Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Again, if you guys want 10% off your first purchase or 10% off of your domain, click the link down below. I love Squarespace, and if you guys want to have your resume on Squarespace or your portfolio, if you guys are in a more like creative field, or if you guys want to showcase your projects on Squarespace, it's a great way to do it, and it's a great way to make your stand out to companies as well. So be sure to do that. If you guys have tips, I would love if you guys could share the ways that you guys found jobs down below, because again, this is my personal experience. This is one person's experience. Please comment down your stories so we can all help each other out. Thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Love you and bye.